Hey, I'm back, baby.
This an all-out blitz, real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but ID gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's, our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Houston Texans, what up?
What up?
What up?
What up?
What up?
What up?
Hey!
And welcome to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast. I'm your host tonight, one of the Mason Trio, Matthew Briggs. Our other fellow member, Crenshaw, is busy, but he will jump on midstream to give us his opinions. But right now with me, I got Mr. VT, the space legend. Say what's up to the folks.
What's going on, guys?
And guys, if you're a Houston Texans fan and you follow Texans Twitter, you know this guy breaks some stories and has some really good articles. Say what's up to Mr. Patrick Storm from the Storm Report.
What's happening?
Not much, man. How do you enjoy the combine? Like it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. I went back and watched some of the, I guess you can call it the highlights and the recaps and stuff like that. More of the talking points and stuff like that is where I dive in on the combine. But it was good, man. I like to, sit back and look at the numbers afterwards, the relative athletic scores, how they stack up percentile wise and stuff like that against past competition and this year's competition. So,
and of course, and measure that with game film,
Yeah. It's, and obviously everything on the field for the combine is, there's no pads or anything like that, but it's fun to watch for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll get more into the combine, but before then, let's talk some NFL news. Right now, a lot of players are getting tagged, including Lamar Jackson, which we'll kind of speak a little bit more. Daniel Jones didn't get tagged, but I know a lot of other players. Pat, which one surprised you the most that got tagged, and who was your biggest surprise that didn't get tagged?
I don't know if there was really a surprise on the tag. We knew there was a lot of speculation that Tony Pollard was going to get tagged. Lamar Jackson, those are like the obvious ones. I think really there wasn't a surprise of guys that didn't get tagged. This year's free agent class is very, very weak. I feel like, and so seeing some of the guys that did get the tag or got deals done before the deadline, it just, all that made sense. I'm just very surprised at what Daniel Jones ended up getting. I feel like it's going to just screw up the market royally for quarterbacks.
Well, I saw a crazy stat. I guess he's the highest paid player to ever come out of Duke. When you see the big names who came out of Duke basketball, that's kind of surprising. But if you look back at it, I guess it's not. I mean, a lot of them didn't pan out, but
and that's all athletes overall, really?
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
I know, that's what I said. That's a crazy stat. Because I have a friend who's a Texans fan, and he's a big Daniel Jones fan because he's a Duke alumni. So it's crazy. Wouldn't believe it'd be Daniel Jones. Out of all the people,
Right.
Crazy.
Carlos Boozer, Kyrie Irving, like all those guys have come out of Duke, and now you got Daniel Jones. Wow, that's interesting, man.
Right. Grant Hill, like you got to be somebody like that, but I guess not. BT, I shoot to you. What's your thoughts on the tagging?
So on the tags, I think that the best person who actually got a tag that really is benefiting from it is Saquon. He actually, because of his injuries and stuff, he may, he had a hard shot because of all the injuries. He had a great season, but I think the tag actually helps him out. Josh Jacobs, I actually thought that they would kind of give him a contract because he had such an excellent season. So I'm surprised they just tagged him. Frankly, I would say if there was a surprise, I would say that that could be the surprise. But but in terms of contracts, to tell you the truth, um, I actually thought they were going to end up tagging Daniel Jones, and instead, they gave him that contract. So if you're really gonna say what's the number one surprise, I'll say Daniel Jones, $94 million guaranteed, $150 million contract. But he is on a team friendly deal, so it's only $20 million cap hit, so it's not gonna affect them necessarily for this year. But yeah, surprising because you didn't know how much is really with Dayball and stuff, and it's gonna be interesting because if he has a down year, it's going to be challenging to do, if they decide what to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main part you have to figure out. What's going to come of him and if it's the system or not. Well, moving on to two quarterbacks. Like we mentioned, Daniel Jones got paid. We also know that Geno Smith got paid, even though Pete Carroll came out and said that there possibility of them getting a quarterback at the 5th pick in the draft this year. There's 4 great ones so far that we know of. Pat, do you think that was a good move by the Seahawks to sign Geno? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean the way they structured the contract, especially, it's very front loaded. If things don't work out, they can get out of it in a very short period of time. It's not something that they're going to be stuck with. So it puts them in a position where if they do decide to draft a quarterback at 5, then he sits for a year. Maybe they trade Geno or they let Geno walk, or just it maybe shakes out like the Kansas City situation with Patrick Mahomes. Who knows? They put themselves in a good situation there. And I think they handled it very well. And it's good. I'm happy for Geno, honestly, after everything he's been through in his career and the way he played last year. I think he definitely deserves something like that. So,
BT, real quick, what about you? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Geno got a good deal, but it's also not a crazy deal. It's $75 million contract, about 30 guaranteed. So at the end of the day, I think most of that is upfront too, if I remember correctly, right? So at the end of the day, it's not a crazy contract. So them getting another quarterback at the 5th overall position won't be bad if he's got to start in a year or so, right? And Geno goes back to a backup position. Not the end of the world there. So overall, I think it worked out for both sides, Geno and Seattle.
All right. Well, and also in news today, Jets blew out owner, the GM, and offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett blew out Aaron Rodgers to the owner's Manson to meet with the GM and Nathaniel Hackett, hopefully to get Derek Carr to the Jets. BT, I'll talk about you. Would that help the Jets, or is it time wasted?
With Aaron Rodgers, you never know what he's going to decide. So it could really be a last minute decision. There is just no way to know. But I think he does want to play again. I don't think he wants to stay in Green Bay. So I think the decision is whether where does he want to be outside of Green Bay? And if he can be a Jet, I think he'll be a Jet. But I don't think he's going back to Green Bay. We had reports saying that the Green Bay management wanted him gone. And so at this point, I think it's just a matter of where will he go. And I think there's a good shot that the Jets grab him. The question really is, what's the compensation going to be like? Because he is 39 years old, and you know that he's going to have this problem again next year, right? Will he? Won't he come back? So you pretty much think that if you're grabbing him, you're trying to go for a Super Bowl here. And what's that compensation for a year look like? Is it 2 firsts? I don't think so. Is it conditional? Is it 1 single first? I mean, I really don't know what the compensation is going to look like for this.
Okay. He is the next Brett Favre, right? Back and forth. Pat, well, what's your thoughts on it?
I think the situation just sucks for Green Bay, right? They've been ready to move on for a few years now, and they moved heaven and earth to get a contract for him to keep him last year to make him happy, and things still didn't work out. Devontae Adams left. They brought back Randall Cobb. Whole situation just sucks for Green Bay. I think, in the words of the great Levy Smith, sometimes divorce is a good thing, and this is going to be one of those ones where for all parties involved, it's going to be good that they go separate ways.
You think that it will help if he does go to Jets? You think the Jets are instant?
Yeah, I think the Jets. I don't know about instant contenders, but they're definitely going to be better. I mean, look who was at quarterback last year with them, Zach Wilson. Now you're bringing in a guy that's been in the Super Bowl, who's played in the playoffs multiple times, who's got just a ton of accolades, the experience.
Right.
Yeah, and got some decent weapons out there with Brees Hall and a decent little core. So who knows? The Jets may shock some people if they land Aaron Rodgers, and they may make a run at something.
All right. Well, guys, let's move on from NFL news and let's go to the combine. I still didn't fix it, but I need to learn how to spell. But a lot of measurements came in with the quarterbacks, especially. Bryce Young came in, I think, 5'10" and 8th, and about roughly 205 pounds. There's a lot of questions about his weight because a lot of people think he just put it on for the combine. Pat, I'll kick it off with you. Did that hurt his stock, or did it keep it the same, or did it help it?
I don't think it moved the needle at all. I mean, I think most GMs kind of had an idea of where he was going to come in, and seeing that he comes in at 204, okay, cool. Likely a lot of water weight, something to just kind of boost those numbers or whatever. And his actual playing weight will probably be in the 190s, the mid 190s. So I don't think it affected anything one way or the other, really. The one thing that did surprise me about him was the size of his hands. Quite large compared to some other guys that are in the league.
9.5, right? Or
9 3/4.
9 3/4. Yeah. So he's got bigger hands than a few of the guys that are in the league right now. That may have surprised some people, and so depending on who the GM is or the front office, the scouts, whatever, they may be a little more intrigued by that now.
And now, BT, I know you are a anti-Bryce, everything, burn the house down if we get him. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I actually agree with Pat here 100%. I don't think it changes the needle at all. They knew that he was going to hit over 200 for the combine, as you do just to get those numbers up, right? And I agree that his playing weight is going to be about 190 pounds. So I don't think it changed anything. He didn't throw, so we really couldn't see anything. He really didn't do much, but besides get measurements. So I do think though that Stroud. Didn't necessarily, I would say, move the needle a lot, but I think it kind of kept him consistently and showed that he can be up there, because the thing about Stroud is that he didn't have to do anything either, right? He could have just been like Bryce and just get measured and set down, but he chose to throw and he succeeded. So I think that's why his stock rose, not because people thought, oh, he can throw. We knew that he was an accurate passer. We know that he's probably the most accurate passer in this draft class. So that's not why his stock rose up. It's that he didn't have to do it, and he did it anyway. And then I have to talk about Richardson, right? Richardson, 6'4", 244, my guy over here, 10.5-inch hands, broke records with the broad jump, the 10.9, the vertical jump, that 40 and a half, like that's actually insane. When he was running, he reached over 23 miles an hour. I could go on and on. The dude's an athletic freak, and he threw well. He did overthrow one or two dudes. Stroud actually missed one as well, but I think that his stock obviously rose. He went from being the fourth quarterback in this draft class, fourth quarterback in this draft class, to potentially number one. Right? There are people mocking him at first overall now. So I think his stock definitely went up. Levis, I know Leo's watching, and I gotta say, I know Levis is your dude, man, but I think his stock actually dropped a little bit because he wasn't throwing that great. Now, he had the arm, he had the cannon, but his accuracy wasn't that great. He missed quite a few dudes, and he obviously didn't run either. So I actually think his stock dropped a little bit.
All right. Pat, real quick, before we move on to a little bit more of a combine and whatnot, who, if we take a quarterback at the second pick, who do you pick? Which ones of these quarterbacks shocked and all you?
I don't think anybody's shocked and awed me. My stance has been my stance um, for months now, and I've always felt like C.J. Stroud is the safer of the picks.
Yeah.
I look at what is the quarterback going to be? What is this pick going to do for you in 5, 6, 8, 9 years? Right.
Right.
I don't want
You don't want to be
that,
in the same spot we're at now.
exactly. Well, and
Right.
it's not so much that, but my biggest fear with a guy like Bryce Young is I feel like we've seen the best of what Bryce Young is going to be already. I don't know if there's going to be much room for improvement for him. I think we've already maybe kind of reached that ceiling for him. Whereas a guy like C.J. Stroud, even Will Levis, we're at their floor and there's room for a lot of growth. And that's what I want. I want somebody that in 6, 7, 8 years we're going to be looking at the talent level of what, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. Like, that's what you want, right? That's the dream scenario. Maybe they don't get there, but if they can get there and make you a competitive team because their play has gotten better throughout the course of their career in a short period of time, that's what I want. I don't want the guy that shocked and awed everybody in college and then comes into the NFL and doesn't grow. So I feel like C.J. Stroud is that guy. A lot of people may not like it. Will Levis, maybe, depending on if he's there at 12, if they don't take a quarterback at 2. But that's, I would rather C.J. Stroud out of all of them.
Okay, all right. Well, the combine to me was, as I was a showcase of athleticism more than the years past. I think a lot of guys showed up and did some great things. Of course, everybody gets these these hype combine warriors, and we gotta get them. We gotta get them. Pat, man, I'll start with you. Which person did the combine help stock rise, and which one did it hurt to you the most?
I feel like the tight end group really kind of showed out. Washington specifically, I feel like, like we already knew he was kind of an athletic freak, but I feel like once he got on the field and did some things, he kind of helped himself a lot. And so that was my guy that when going back and seeing the highlights and some of the stuff that he did, the one-handed catch on the sideline, that's what I look for, especially for this offense. What the Texans are going to be wanting, they're going to be wanting a tight end that's going to be able to come in and be a playmaker. And so I feel like that's going to be somebody that they're going to need to target, somebody that's going to be that athletic freak at tight end. Kind of like the George Kittle.
And kind of like what you said too. You want the quarterback position, you want him to grow, and the same thing with the tight end. You want, that Washington right there kind of checks every box that you want, right? Has a pretty good floor but a high ceiling.
Yeah,
and help grow with the quarterback.
Absolutely.
So, who do you think it hurt the most going to the combine?
I don't know if anybody really got hurt. Maybe some of the corners didn't, perform speed-wise that a lot of people thought, but there was still a lot of guys in the cornerback class that did some really good things, agility-wise and speed-wise that helped them. I don't know anybody's stock really fell off because of the drills, at least not that I saw.
I will, before I go to BT, I want to read out this comment. Player of the combine, Andrew Voorhees. Yeah, that injury was nasty. And for him to put on a cast and go out there and just break the record for bench press in the cast, I get it. It's all, but man, that's still impressive.
It is.
That shows the mentality. That shows the mentality that kid has.
Right.
So that helped him for sure.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully he falls where we can get him a later pick. I wouldn't mind him. But
something like the 4th or 5th round, stash him for a year, let him get healthy, rehab, and have him for the future.
He was projected second round, maybe late first.
I think second.
Second round, depending on whose board you were looking at.
Yeah. All right, VT, kick it off to you. What do you think? Who stock rose? Who fell?
So I think you got to talk about Nolan Smith. His stock rose because of his speed. Went 4.39 I mean, when the hell have you seen that? From a dude from his size. I definitely think his stock rose. I agree with the comment on the screen. Boutte definitely did not have a great day, so I agree that his stock actually decreased. I say another dude that increased his stock was Devon A-Chain. He actually did great in the drills and had a 4.32. But if I have to say overall, who I think got hurt the most, frankly, it's got to be Ringo. Ringo was going to be. I was looking at boards of him being the first corner off the board in the top 10 or top 15. He did not have a great combine. He was missing catches. His ball skills really lacked. At the combine, I think that he could drop out of the first and into the second. Now that could be a little overreaction right now because we're still a little high from the combine, but I do. There's a lot of people that were thinking that he was already overrated. That Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter were over him, and Ringo was getting a lot of the love that really was unnecessary. So if he was overrated, I can see him dropping into early-ish second round and being kicked out of the first.
All right. Now Joey Porter, I thought Joey Porter is going to be a higher pick than what most mock drafts have him. The guy I'm kind of going to late first. Do you see his after this combine? Do you see his stock rising, drafting that?
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely do it. It's definitely possible. He's got a couple of guys ahead of him. I feel like that are a little bit better, that give you more of a complete package already. Guys like Witherspoon, obviously, like he's going to be one of the better quarters in this class. He definitely helped himself. He probably climbed some boards for a couple teams, teams that need a corner that are going to be looking at that in the first round. So I don't, I feel like it's tough. Those top 3, top 4 guys, it's going to be tough to kind of stack those, and just depending on what you're looking for schematically too. So.
Well, thanks for showing up there, Chris. I really appreciate it, man. Late but always here. I'll kick it off to you, man. Whose stock do you think rose in the combine and whose fell?
Well, Aaron Rodgers, and man, damn, AR-15 stock rose. Jumping, running. So people got him going over Will Levis. Some people have him going number 1, which I highly doubt and everything. And whose stock fell? I have no idea. Whose stock fell.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of tough. Sometimes the combine really doesn't help you fall, but sometimes it does. You never know. Well, guys.
Well, before we move on, I just want to say, I was saying Ringo, but you brought up Joey Porter, and now I'm seeing mocked at the 5th overall pick to the Lions. So his stock looks like wherever he was, because on the mocks I've seen him all over the place, frankly.
Same.
But more I'm seeing him go to the Lions, and that's a possible. Not 5th, 6th, I guess. They're 6th overall. But yeah.
I'm glad we brought up mocks. Before I move on, Pat, I know you have posted some good mocks and talked about some good mocks. Aren't you getting drove crazy about these crazy fan mocks, like us getting Devontae Adams for the 12th pick, and doesn't that drive you nuts? Or
no, man, I love mock drafts for the fact that it, like, the interaction that fans get to have. They get to show their opinion, their thought process on what they think is going to be good for the team. Of course, obviously, there's going to be some wild ones, right? Like, some of the websites, I know Pro Football Networks, theirs is very easy to manipulate when it comes to trading for things. So you can do some outrageous stuff that is just virtually impossible. It's just a lot of fun. It doesn't drive me nuts. I love posting them and seeing the outrage from people that feel like they have it nailed, like they know what 1 through 31 is going to be already this year. And they're like, no way he's there at 12. No way he's there at 33. No way, it's that's what drives me nuts. It's the people that feel like they haven't known, they have everything.
You can't have an opinion.
Okay.
Your opinion is not valued.
It's fun, man. It's got to be. It's strictly for fun. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah, I like it too. It's something to get your mind off of things, especially this boring part of the season. Well, let's get into Texan news. But before we actually jump into Texans, one of the guys we talked about earlier, Lamar Jackson, getting franchise tagged, exclusive tagged, where if the Ravens do not match his offer, the team has to send a first round pick and a second pick for Lamar. Pat, I kick it off to you. What's your thoughts? He's gonna be a Texan or what?
Man, I'm not against it, right? The guy's an MVP. He's an elite quarterback. He could easily become the best quarterback this franchise has ever had in a very short period of time. It just
And
depends
only
on
26.
Yeah, he's young. He's got a lot of time left in his career. The injuries are there, but it's the NFL. People get hurt. It's going to happen. So not a big concern. It's just about the process of how it would go if they were to kind of how I said they could manipulate it to where have the offer sheet signed after the draft to where they have to forfeit the 24 and 25 first round picks. That's cool with me. Like, I'm okay with that. And you use 2 and 12 this year to add some weapons or some core pieces to the team, and shorten your rebuild by going and getting Lamar Jackson. You shorten your rebuild window by a lot,
right?
Because you've got an established quarterback. You don't have to wait for that growth any longer. So people cry about the contract. The contract is what it is. We would have been in the same situation in 2 years if Deshaun was still here. So what does it matter? It just it depends on how it would unfold.
And also, I mean, if we do draft one of these rookie quarterbacks and in 4 or 5 years they play to the level that everybody hopes that they play, we're going to be in the same talking about that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's the bad thing about drafting a quarterback at 2 is you never know what's going to pan out. Yes, history changes, but history for number 2 pick quarterbacks is not very good.
Nope.
But I know this guy's already proven. Get him a weapon at 12, at 33. Whatever the case is, I'm kind of on board with it. I mean, the more I keep talking to myself, the zone blocking I think would help him grow as a passer. Get him some weapons. He already has a better running back in Dameon Pierce than he did last couple seasons there in Baltimore. So, yeah, I'm for it. Crenshaw, what about you? What's your thoughts, man?
Like Pat said, MVP 26. Why not? Whatever he wants, we give it to him. I mean, because we lost our franchise quarterback, we need to get one back. And right now, Cal's trying to get the fans on board. So this will definitely get the fans on board. The stadium will be sold out. My ticket value will be a lot more than what it's been the last couple of years. I know that because my ticket values has been shitty. So, yeah, they need to do that. Get a wide receiver. Actually, get a tight end since Lamar loves his tight ends, and let's go for it. It shows that they're not waiting 2 or 3 years. They're trying to win right now, and that gets me happy.
Especially in this trash ass division.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's easily something we can do this year. We can win it.
Exactly, exactly. Everybody's on Jacksonville right now, but Tennessee, they're going away.
They lost a lot of people.
Right? Yeah, Indy, who knows what they're going to do? I mean, they trade up to number 1, then that's going to help them out. But I'm for it. Get Lamar. It's going to help the running game. Oh my goodness, I'd be ecstatic, man. I'd be ecstatic.
You'd be like BT having Matt Schaub on the show, huh? But all right, BT, I know you got a couple insider scoops on it. So what's your thoughts? Go ahead.
Well, before I even get to that, I have to say, I think this is the first time all 3 of us have agreed on what quarterback we want for the Houston Texans. So that's got to be something, all right? But yeah, so first of all, I just want to say, because there's a couple of people that I told to watch because I've been going back and forth with a lot of people that don't want Lamar Jackson. And to me, I'm trying to understand where they're coming from. It's very hard for me to understand why they wouldn't want Lamar Jackson. So I just want to hit on a couple of those things. So the first thing is that they think that he's just not a good quarterback. Now, first of all, he's a 2019 NFL MVP. He was a passing leader. This whole thing that he's a running quarterback only, you can't pass, is really bullshit. Greg Roman put him in a box and didn't get him any receivers. And
Terrible
if he
OC.
actually had a better scheme around him, a better OC, he would have done better. Cruncher, I know that you're big on comebacks and stuff, right? So he had 7 comebacks and 10 game-winning drives. To put this in perspective, Joe Burrow, who a lot of people are saying is a top 2 or 3 quarterback, has had 5 comebacks and 7 game-winning drives. So we're talking that these are dudes that have almost the same amount of game time, right? Almost, because Lamar's been hurt, Burrow's been hurt, so it's pretty damn close. And you're talking that he has more game-winning drives and more comebacks than Joe Burrow, who they are saying is a top 3 quarterback. So I want to throw that out there. And then also, just in terms of cap space, so the way that a lot of these large contracts are, particularly quarterbacks, is that you're going to give a low base salary, right? 1.085, and then you're going to have a signing bonus and spread that out. Like Watson, like so many others, you'll probably end up being a 10, maybe $12 million max with a cap hit for 2023. So when people say, how are we going to build in free agency? You're talking $12 million less than the projection of $65 million. So what? We're going to have a little less, right around $50 million in cap space after we pay Lamar for 2023. That's fine. Now let's talk about 2024. Obviously, there's no one on the book, so it's a huge number. It's $187 million. But once you pay Tunsil, once you pay Lamar, you pay Howard, you realize there's no one else. We were literally paying 2 tackles and no one else. So if you throw Lamar into there and you talk about your projection of your rookies and your top 51, you're talking anywhere between 60 on the very low end and 80 on the high end if we don't sign any big name free agents this year, right? If we're talking about more dudes like Quesenberry, we'll get to that later. But if we're signing more dudes like Quesenberry and EJ Perry, you're not going to have the money that we're talking about to spend there. I mean, we're not going to have to pay them. So we're talking $60 to $80 million in 2024 if you sign Lamar. So that should get around the whole objection of we don't have money and that he's not a good quarterback. Now, I'll get to the quote unquote inside information. So before I get to that, I thought that there was just some collusion, right? Why the Falcons and all these teams saying that they don't want him. I jumped the gun and I agree with David Mulligetta, quote tweeted him saying he's right. It seemed very fishy why 4 teams said, I'm not including the Raiders because they reneged that and said they actually are still in the sweepstakes, Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. So 4 teams said they're out. Why? Well, I thought, yeah, there's something fishy. Seems like collusion. So I talked to an insider who happens to have some legal mind, and they said that it is not necessarily collusion. It is the fact that Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent. And not having an agent means that what these teams will have to do is potentially go out there and do the work that the Ravens would have to do. So say if, for example, the Falcons wanted to sign Lamar. Well, they have to go out, they have to talk to him, not his agent. They go through it, they finally decide, okay, he wants $180 million guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. They figured that out. Now, all the Ravens will have to do is says, hey, Falcons, thank you for doing all the work. We're going to sign him now. Thank you for wasting your time. That is one thing. And Florio actually publicly said that's what he thinks. The more inside information is that, and it's not really inside information, but I can't use their name because I didn't ask if I could say this publicly. But they said that one of the bigger issues is that many times teams want to tell the agents some information about why they would need to structure a contract or not pay a certain amount. And you can't do that if you're talking to the player directly. So if they talk to Lamar directly, they can't say, hey, Lamar, the reason we can't give you 200 is because we're planning on doing this. We can't tell that to the entire NFL world. And so if you're okay with us giving you this X amount of money, we'll give that to you next year because of this. Now, you can tell that to an agent, and an agent many times will not even tell their client. There's a buffer there. Now, if you're going to tell Lamar, there's no buffer. So that's the challenge. So I jumped the gun and thought it was collusion, but I don't think it is. After what Florio said, after what I heard, I don't think it's collusion. I think it comes down to a mix of Lamar not having an agent, a mix of Lamar not actually making this a priority last year, and obviously the whole fact is that teams don't want to give guaranteed money if they don't have to. They got to put that in escrow right away, right? I don't think people realize that. If it's a guaranteed amount, even if it's over 5 years, it's guaranteed. Boom, it's going to escrow, and that's $200 million. Say that even though if you're a billionaire, putting up $200 million means a lot of times they don't have $200 million in cash. They have to either have a liquidity event, which means it's a taxable event, or they have to somehow borrow against it. And there's rules about how much you can borrow for that. So it's not an easy thing of just saying we'll do this, right? So teams don't like that guaranteed amount at the same time. So there's my 10-minute spiel.
Almost there, almost 10 minutes. Well, before we move on a little bit, Pat, what's your thoughts about the whole Lamar contract situation?
I mean, it like I said, it is going to be what it is, right?
Right.
Somebody's going to pay him. Somebody's going to have to pay him. The Texans are eventually going to have to pay a quarterback. So why not get it over with? Why not get the ball, and put it in his hands now, and like I said, shorten the rebuild window. As far as the money and stuff like that, they've got it. They've got the money. They can do it. They've got. I know the Texans have not always been, and this is a phrase that I've used a few times. They're not a cash-rich team. Okay. And those are the words coming straight from Texans Cap. I talk to him all the time about how this stuff works and try to get a better understanding of it. He's way better at it than I am. But if it comes down to it, they can make it happen. Teams will move heaven and earth to get a quarterback,
especially a franchise quarterback.
So, yeah, absolutely. So if it came down to it and they had the opportunity, I think there's no doubt that they would do it.
So we got a fan question: does Lamar fit what Slowick and D'Amico want to do? Quick yes, no, maybe so.
100%.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was pretty easy, but you never know. All right.
I know. I keep taking over, but I have to say this real quick. The whole thing about a Slowick system or Shanahan-style system is that it fits every quarterback. There is no quarterback that it won't fit. That is actually why it works. When you have this West Coast system, basically you could have anyone over there. That's one of the reasons why I wanted Slowick over Cliff, because with Cliff, for example, if you don't have deep ball accuracy, if you can't throw over 40 yards, you're screwed. Right? No. With this type of system, you can have any quarterback there, whether it's Lamar, whether it's AR, whether it's Bryce, whether it's CJ, and you can be successful. Right. I had to get that out there.
Right. All right. Well, in other news, we signed EJ Perry and re-signed Scott Questenberry. I know VT hates the Questenberry move. I'll kick it off, Crenshaw. What's your thoughts? I mean, it's nothing big.
Yeah, nothing big by EJ Perry. I don't know who the hell that is.
I think it's like the fourth string quarterback from the Jaguars or some shit like that. But yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I don't know who the hell that is. But Scott, I think that's just a count body. His ass shouldn't be on the team this year. He sucks. So that's my take. Now I do like A.T. Perry, the wide receiver. I do like him, right. But that's something else though.
Yeah. Pat, what about you? What's your thoughts on the moves?
I mean, they're going to have 90 people in camp, so right. They're getting a jump on it right now. It's a very inexpensive quarterback to have in camp, a very inexpensive center to have at camp. There's going to be 20 more of these moves over the next few months, leading up until June, July, and August, and people are going to bitch and complain about them because it's not Lamar Jackson, it's not Devontae Adams, it's not
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Right. I got you. All right, BT. Let's try to keep it under 10 minutes on this one. What's your thoughts on it?
I will keep it short. So most people know, especially if you follow me on Twitter, know how much I dislike Scott Questenberry. I've been bitching about him since last year. And yes, I did freak out the minute that I saw it because he sucks. He was literally the worst player on the Texans last year. And if you look at week to week, he was legit the worst center in the league.
He got his name changed. He changed his name to Davis Mills.
Davis Mills performed better than Scott Questenberry. And in fact, Scott Questenberry was getting Davis Mills rocked. Now, I get that he's a backup, but the thing is, he was a backup last year and was forced to play. right? So I will say that you know who it is. I'm not going to say who it is that messaged me and said essentially said calm the fuck down and said the good news is that they know because they're an insider that we are talking to a center for free agency and a defensive tackle. So that I shouldn't get all worked up out of it. Apparently, Scott Quisenberry is a really great guy too. So that was emphasized over and over again. I don't know the guy, so I have no clue. I just know that he sucks at being center. But what I will say is, I shouldn't freak out because hopefully that we get one in free agency and we get one in the draft. To me, that would be ideal. Even if we get Boozman or we get Garrett Bradbury, you don't like Boozman. I just saw your face there. You don't like Boozman, Pat?
No, the comment that popped up, the Nick Martin comment.
Can we pick neither? I mean,
yeah, that's a neither. But what I would say is ideal is you pick up a vet center, you pick up a rookie center in the draft, and then that would be perfect. That way you have two centers, and then Scott Quisenberry never has to see the field, and we're good to go.
I thought last year you was happy about Scott once Justin Britt didn't get with the team.
I wasn't happy with him. What I said was I thought Justin was a problem. I thought James Morrissey was a problem. I thought Stan Quizzy was a problem, but I was like, maybe he'll do better. But obviously, he is trash. I mean, there's no way else to say it. So, I didn't like Justin Britt because I thought Justin Britt, particularly in training camp, looked horrendous. Not just that he didn't look great in season, but in training camp, man, the videos that I was seeing, holy crap, was he looking really, really bad. Scott Quisenberry apparently was worse. So I just don't know why you sign someone that's bad. I understand you need depth. I understand you need camp values. To me, I just don't get it. Like if a guy is performing that bad, what's the point? But hey, I'm not the GM.
I don't know. You're like Pat said earlier. We're going to see a lot of these moves. A lot of fans are going to be like, are going to pull a VT and say, "What the fuck, like, what are you doing?" So, all right, guys. Well, we had some press conference of our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Slowick said a lot of things about Bond and about he wants his offense to be quick, attack, and precise. Real quick, and Pat, I'll start with you. What was your takeaways from both Matt Burke and Bobby Slowick?
I like that there's more substance coming out of their mouths in the 20 minutes that they were up at the podium today than we've had over the last 3 years from the coordinators. Right. I feel like and I get it, it's the first press conference and stuff like that, so kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I like what they're saying. It sounds fun, it sounds exciting, something we haven't. I was a little excited for Pep Hamilton being the offensive coordinator when it was first happening. That quickly went away week 2, week 3 throughout the season. So now it's I think maybe the unknown of what these two guys are going to bring. I know with Burke, he's got a history. He's been a defensive coordinator before and was seen kind of what the product that he puts out on the field is. But he wasn't coupled with DeMeco Ryans. He wasn't coupled with some of the other guys that are in on this defensive staff to get the ideas flowing and stuff like that and put a different scheme or attack on the field. So it's going to be – I'm excited for it. I really am. I felt like they kept the positivity and the excitement going from a few weeks ago when DeMeco was announced as the head coach. So it's nice. It's better.
All right, VT, what about you? What's your thoughts?
So I think Slowick really impressed me. I think that he had a lot to say. He showed his confidence. He also talked about the fact that Bill Lazor and Shane Day are going to help. He was very specific about how they would help too, right? That Shane was going to help with the play calling. So it's great that even though we have a first-time OC, that we have someone that's experienced like Shane Day is there. He also talked about the fact that Nick and DeMeco were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. Like that's something that we heard from CBS Sports a day ago, and he actually brought up the fact that is in play. Like that is something that we're thinking about. So I liked that. I think from Burke, however, I'm not the biggest fan of Burke. I actually think that the offensive staff is tremendous. I think we have an excellent offensive staff. I'm not exactly 100% happy with the defensive staff. I think Matt Burke was, he was not a great DC, and he didn't really make himself look any better. To me, I think he looked not really confident. But he did say he wants tough physical players, which I like. He wants to have an identity that's fast, physical, and tough. So I like that. I just didn't think he came off as confident and as tough as I want to see a DCB.
All right, Chris, speak to me. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I like what B Slow said. And I think if you get Lamar, it's just going to make it, real good. But the thing that really stuck out to me that he finally said Davis Mills' name, and I didn't think the guy still was on the team.
Right.
So by him saying his name, I'm like, okay, he's still on the team, And I'm like VT. I'm not really excited about the defensive staff, especially Matt. I mean, not you, Briggs, but the other Matt.
Everybody gets excited for me, so
Nah, but the other Matt, from his previous stints, I don't really too much like him. But I do like he said he's gonna go with the front seven, get that right, and everything else, fall in line. But it's gonna be fun, and I can't wait.
Sure.
I can't wait for OTAs. Usually, I don't really care about OTAs, but I can't wait to OTAs.
For real, same here. All right, well, guys, we're almost to the point where we wrapped it up. But before we got something to ask Mr. Patrick Storm, but before that, we got to do. All right, Pat. So we got the combine out of the way. Free agency is just right around the corner. What is your hot take? What is your hot take of the draft? What do you think the Houston Texans do? What will be a surprise?
I think they go defense with the number 2 pick.
Ooh.
I think they go defense with the number 2 pick. I don't think they take a quarterback.
Wow.
That's just me. It's a hot take, right? Like,
right.
I feel like there's, and that's strictly based on what happens at 1. I know I can say with almost 100% certainty, that they're not trading up to 1.
Right. Why would you?
And if the guy that they really want, I know Nick said that they typically at each pick they have a group of 3 or 4 guys that they like, so that way they're not always, there's not a panic if the guy they want gets taken. But I feel like if a guy that they had pegged as their number 1 person at 2 is gone, they go defense, and they pivot and they go defense. If they don't sign Lamar, but I think they go defense.
Okay. All right, BT, real quick, what's your hot take of the draft?
My hot take is that we won't draft a quarterback because we will sign Lamar, and that at the 12th pick we take defense.
All right.
So what would they do with 2 then? Are you saying they would
have
take
to give up 2 to get Lamar?
So they would do it before the draft. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Chris.
Well, I was gonna say what VT just said, so I got to come up with another hot take. I say my hot take: they trade down from 2, pick up an extra first, and still grab a quarterback and a wide receiver. I mean, VT just stole my whole hot take there. So
you can even say hot take, bro.
I got to make up something on the fly.
This is the first time, literally the first time that we're this simpatico. We can share this hot take. All right.
I mean, I like that hot take though very much.
Yeah, I mean, BT stole my hot take too. I think we get it done within a couple weeks after free agency. So I'm going to say Jalen Carter falls all the way to number 12, and the Texans pick him up. Pat, do you see that? You think we get Carter at 12?
I don't know. I don't know if the I feel like if more information was to come out in the next coming weeks, then there's a possibility. I don't know if the charges that were brought against him are enough to do that right now, but I could definitely see it happening. I mean, look what happened with Tunsil in the weed picture, right? Like, or the gas mask. He slid way
12,
down
13 or something
way
like
down
that.
boards, right? So like it's one of those things that teams are going to weigh things a lot differently, and something like this, not only does it call into question um, his moral compass, but then like his character as a teammate. Like, we unfortunately one of the victims was a teammate of his, and it didn't, that didn't. Maybe it did affect his judgment at the time, um, but it's one of those things that he put himself in that situation, and I don't know how teams are really gonna weigh that.
All right, fellas. Well, this is a part of the show that we all hate, and it's the end. Pat, tell us where we can find you on social media and what great things you have cooking, so that way we can look for it.
So Twitter is at Patrick Storm HTX. Instagram is Texans Storm Report, and that's all I've got right now. But I've been working on a podcast for now the past 3 months, and my problem is that unless it's perfect, it's never going to come out. So until I can get it perfect, I won't put it out. But I've got some. It's going to be more than just Texans content. It's going to be kind of like what you guys did here at the beginning, with some NFL content and stuff like that. I had a rock star of a guest lined up for episode 1, and then due to I guess conflict of interest from the outlet that he is with right now, they wouldn't let him come on, so I got shafted on that 24 hours before we were supposed to record. So but I've got some guys lined up that once they can find some free time, they're willing to come on. So it's going to be some cool stuff. A lot of some of the same people y'all have had on, and then a lot of players from around the league. So it's going to be pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure we keep an eye on it so we can watch it. BT, kick it off for you. What do you got going on, brother?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter on Brown Chubby Bear. You can find my last article on Texans Fan Battle. It's about Anthony Richardson. I talk a little bit about him in college, the university, what the experience with Mullen. So I think it's a decent read. So check out Texans Fan Battle. We do have a new website that we're working on. So in the future, you might have me saying where to find my articles elsewhere. But for now, go to TexansFanBattle.com.
All right, and Mr. Crenshaw, tell us what we got.
You can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw, Twitter, Instagram, and I ain't got shit working.
He's working on being on time. That's what he's working on. I'm just kidding, brother. And guys, this is the end of a legacy of season 2. Next week will be season 3 premiere, and we got a special, awesome guest from Good Morning Football NFL Network. We got Mr. Jordan Palmer. So make sure y'all
James Palmer.
Let's say James Palmer, man. Even I know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, I got Jordan Palmer in my. I don't know why. It happens, I'm getting it out now, so that way when it comes on the show, right. I don't look like an idiot. So yeah, James Palmer. Thanks for he might be late, but he's quick to correct me. So I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. But yeah, make sure y'all tune in for a season 3 premiere with James Palmer. It's gonna be some great stuff. Until then, guys, have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you then.
Go Texans.
Peace.